Randy and Leslie, the podcast where we delve into the heart of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Welcome to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. I am Leslie.
And I'm Randy.
What are we doing today, darling?
Today is part 2 of our segment on the family equipping segment of the coach approach to family. In part 1, we talked about why that's so important and kind of what it is. The purpose of our podcast today is to actually give you the 5 questions or the 5 parts of a coaching conversation. Just to refresh your memory a little bit, we use the coach approach a lot in our work with the Family Reformation Project. It is one of the key distinctions that is really different about the work that we bring to this family space. And the coach approach to family is a way to disciple your children. It's a way to have a conversation with them that will help them begin to think for themselves, weigh options, think about how God is thinking, and make decisions. And it's a process of discipling them to make really good, godly decisions that they take personal responsibility for. Wow, that is a lot. And this tool really delivers that. So today, we're going to jump right in here in a moment and tell us about the scenario that we're going to basically role play as we teach this today.
Yeah, so we're going to pick one. This works for really any situation that you might find in your family. But today we're going to suppose that you've got a high schooler that just graduated and they are going off to college, to university, and not just across town. They're moving out of state. They're leaving home and embarking on their education path. And in this scenario, the child is experiencing a lot of anxiety. Mm-hmm. And this is how a coaching conversation might go.
Yeah. And don't check out if you're like, my kids are little, my kids are teenagers, my kids are already graduated from college. It doesn't matter. The fact is, this framework, this series of questions is what we want to make sure that you get. We're just picking an example to illustrate, but any situation, any example, any circumstance with your children will actually work. So, okay, here we go. Here's the first part of the coach. So I'm going to be the child that's going away. The young adult. And I have anxiety around a lot of things. And Leslie's going to be the coach. So, and the parent in this case. So yeah. Go ahead and start us off.
It goes something like this. Hey, honey, we're so excited. You did such a great job in high school and you're going off to university, but we're noticing a lot of anxiety. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, I'm super excited because I feel like this is the direction my life needs to take. But I mean, I'm not going to have my friends there. I mean, my church, I'm not going to be involved in. I'm far away from you guys, and I'm excited about it. But like, there's so many unknown things, so much uncertainty. And I mean, I hear a lot of stories about, kids going away to woke universities and losing touch with their friends and faith and family and, really struggling. And I'm really concerned about handling and facing all of that.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to carry around on your heart. Mm-hmm. What's really the top of mind today? Mm-hmm. What would be a really win in our conversation coming away with specifically?
Yeah. This is the first part of a coaching conversation. It's called getting agreement for the conversation. And she just asked me, out of all of that, what's important to come away with from the conversation? that sets the tone for where the finish line is in our
Mhm.
conversation. So all of that scattered thinking now, she's asked me, what's the one thing today? So give me a moment because it'll probably take a kid a
Yeah.
moment.
And this is important too. When you ask a question, wait.
Yeah.
We're all wired a little differently. And especially if you've got a more of an introverted energy kid or spouse for that matter, when you ask a question, ask it singularly and open ended, and then wait.
Yeah.
Because with our introverted family members, if we'll just be quiet and let them lower the bucket way down deep and get into that thinking down in their subconscious, in their soul, what they bring back up to the surface and share with you is gold.
Yeah.
It gives you so much information about where they're actually at. So ask the question and then wait.
Mm-hmm. Let them decide, by the way, instead of telling them what you got to talk about, right? As a parent is usually like, oh, I want to talk about
Yeah.
your relationship with the family, but that might not be what is most on the mind. So, okay, I'm gonna step back in the role of the student. Well, Mama Leslie, I think what I'm most concerned about is not having friends and finding the right friends. You know, I heard it said that in the first 72 hours of relationships, when a kid goes away to school, determines like the next 4 years. And I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. Like, I want to make sure that I make good friend choice. So I would like to know how to do that in our conversation, and maybe we can talk about the other stuff, next time. Or
Okay. Well, you have a rich friend group. You have since you were a little boy. You're very engaging. And so, how have you made friends in the past?
so this is the question number 2: is let's look at what are the challenges or opportunities around this choice. And mom knows me, and so she knows that there's some wisdom in how we've done it before, and that's part of the second part of the coaching conversation. And third part is exploration. Just what are your thoughts about this and that and the other? So you've asked me how did I do that? Well, I mean, I trusted you guys. I mean, you guys already as a family had relationships with, the Jones at church and the Smiths at church, and you were already friends with them. And so I just got to know, their kids, and they became my friends. And so, I mean, that worked. You know, I went to a Christian school, so I was able to get plugged into some believers there that became good friends that were good from good families. And of course, there was that one, that was not so good that we all know about. We don't talk about anymore, but everything's not always rosy. I mean, that worked. Well, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah. How were you how are you in your friendships? How do you show up in your friendships?
Well, I mean, I like to have fun. Um, and I like to talk about important things. I don't know. I care about a lot of things. I'm into politics, and I'm into leadership, and I'm into growth, and I mean, this field that I'm going into, leadership and coaching. I'm really excited about that. So I don't know, people with similar interests, I guess. I think I'm just me. I'm authentic. I just like, this is me, and I'm authentic, and I'm loyal. Like, I really care about people. I don't want just acquaintances. I really want like friendships, people that I can share my life with and ask for advice from, and they ask me for the same.
Mm-hmm. So as in your life, as you've built friendships, you've just shown up and you're just Randy.
Yeah,
And when you're just Randy, you attract people that are like you.
yeah, but I'm going to be around people I don't even know.
Yeah. So what have you discovered on campus? What are some of the programs and groups on campus as you've looked into it?
So I'm going to make another note. See, in this conversation, it's realistic. What Leslie is doing as the coach now, not just mom, is she's asking to draw out where I am at. This is a real big distinction in the coach approach. So many parents are just, well, just let me tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work over the long haul very well. It does when they're 3 and 2, but as we're adults, we want to teach our children to think for themselves and make good decisions for them. So she's actually still in this part number 2 and question number 2 and 3 of exploring. So you asked me, what was it again?
What's on campus?
Thanks.
What's offered
Okay.
on campus?
I don't know. Really? I haven't even thought about that.
Well, what could you do about that?
Again, she's asking, not telling. Well, I mean, I could search on the internet and find out what churches are around or what ministries. I mean, there's some ministries on every campus, I think, like Campus Crusade or Navigators or something like there. It seems like there's some national ministries that are probably on, Go You, where I'm going.
Yeah.
I could find out, but then I still don't really know anybody, but I guess I could get to know somebody.
You mentioned something earlier about how you made friends growing up, that Dad and I took you to church and we introduced you to our friends who had kids that were your age. And so I sense a reliance on Dad and I we've provided that environment for you. So how would you, well, let me ask it this way. Who could you depend on to help lead you and bring those relationships in front of you?
Well, God.
Yeah.
So see, even though it was right there and she could have just said, well, you just need to pray. She asked the question. This is important. Questions that draw out and explore. This is your favorite words: explore and curiosity. This is the coach approach. So first question was, hey, what are you feeling? And I came up with a lot, and she narrowed it down. Let me pick. Well, what's most important that we want to talk about in this conversation? I chose as the coachee. Want to talk about friends group. And then she went on from there to explore, well, what have you done? Well, what could you do? And all of a sudden in this example, I've seen something I didn't know before. Oh, there might be Christian groups there, and I could take responsibility. And the key is the way she didn't volunteer to do it for me. Well, I'll do it for you. I'll go get
all you moms out there.
Let me find out the ministries. Let me get the names, and not that that's bad, but again, this coach approach to family is trying to bring maturity and discipleship and into our children. And that means taking personal responsibility. So she's having me do it.
Yeah. And this works at every age. Again, our role as parents is to draw out of our children who God says that they are. And hopefully we've cultivated that, and we are cultivating that in every stage of their development, but teaching them how to think for themselves, how to know how to get the answers that they need to solve the issues that they're going to have in life, whatever stage they're in.
Yeah.
This works from little kids all the way up to grown kids. Most of you guys know, if you've been listening to us for any period of time, we didn't start implementing intentionally this type of work into our kids until they were grown. And so it works at every stage and every age.
Yeah, so good. So we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to pick up in the middle of our coaching conversations. And don't worry, at the end and in our description, I'm going to list out the 5 points. But we're just having a little role play here to give you an idea of what that coaching conversation in this circumstance, which relates to every circumstance, would be like. But right after this, we'll be back and we'll finish up our conversation.
Disconnected from your spouse or children? Do you want to create a home filled with love, joy, and purpose? In this fast-paced, crazy world, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: your family. The Family School is here to guide you on this incredible journey based on Dr. Randall Bixby's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
The Family School provided us with the tools and strategies to build a healthy family culture. It's amazing to experience the transformation.
The Family School is a game changer. Our communication has improved, along with our ability to forgive and stay connected. We now have a blueprint to raise our son and teach him how to lead his own family one day.
The support and community at the Family School are incredible. We're not alone in this journey.
Family School has impacted our family relationally by transforming how we interact with each other, improving our communication skills to create a safe environment for everyone to be open and fully themselves.
At the Family School, you'll discover biblical strategies, practical tools, and a supportive community that will empower your family to thrive.
Enroll in the Family School today and embark on a life-changing adventure. Through interactive classes, personalized coaching, and transformative resources, you'll learn practical techniques to heal, grow, and thrive as you build your family in God's design. Visit our website at www.thefamilyreformationproject.com. Start shaping your family's legacy now.
Join the Family School today. Learn to do family by design.
Right in the, yeah.
Welcome back, Transformed Families. You caught us talking during the break. Hey, we're going to go ahead and pick right back up into our coaching conversation. So we've been through what's the coaching agreement, basically what are we talking about, and then
Where do we want to go with it?
Where we want to go. You've been exploring and curious, right? And now we're going to advance the conversation. And so back to you, Coach Mama.
Yeah.
Leslie.
So Randy, what are you hearing? What's the learning?
And this is the question. So out of the conversation, however long it's gone, this is where the coach draws out of the coachee. What conclusions are you coming to? What are you seeing or learning
that you didn't see before we started? And this can happen, by the way, this can be a short, 10-minute conversation, or it could be an hour conversation.
Good point.
Right. And of course, with everything that we teach you guys, always do it with the Holy Spirit, right? Like we can learn these skills, and you can go to any online 6-week whatever and get a quote unquote coaching credential in learning some basic coaching skills. But as we're raising our children in the Lord.
Yeah.
And so you always want to approach this prayerfully.
Yeah.
So here we are. So Randy, what are you seeing?
Well, number one, I need to ask God, because I'm all scared and worried and anxious, and He always knows what to do. So I choose to spend some time in prayer this week about what He wants me to know about finding a friend group. That's the big thing. I think the other thing is, there are people already there. I just need to find them, and I didn't think about searching for them. That was a new thought. So that's something else I choose to do this week is get online and see what is there, Christian clubs, or so that the first 72 hours or beyond, I can really connect with people that God wants me to connect with.
Yeah. We started this conversation, and the big feeling that you were having was anxiety. And we know that anxiety is fear. So what scripture comes to mind when you think about how God thinks about fear?
Well, two. One is, don't be anxious for anything, but with thanksgiving, right? Make your requests known. Pray about it, like we said, and the peace of God will rule your heart and mind in Christ. And then that perfect love casts out fear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're perfectly loved. Yeah. Okay, good.
So notice she didn't tell me what my learning was, right? Coach, as a coach approach, you're drawing out. And so she went from learning, and now we're going to nail down. So, and you sort of did. I couldn't help myself because I'm a coach. If I was really truly role playing, I probably would have done a little better job of, this is what I'm learning. I already went to the next part, which is
what's your next step? What are you going to do?
What's your commitment to action?
Yeah.
Now that you have this learning, and which I already said, so I'm going to, in this example, I'm going to pray and ask God this week, has a time on it. And I'm going to research and find out those Christian clubs on campus this week. It has a time on it.
Yeah.
And so it's the action piece around a coaching conversation is so important. You can talk theory and you can talk ideas and you can talk learning lessons, but if we don't put it into practice in time and space with a specific measurable action with a time frame, we don't move forward. It is so interesting how we work.
It is.
And so, and she didn't tell me, the coach didn't tell me, mom didn't tell me what to do. I chose what to do. And that's another important piece of developing that muscle of personal responsibility. And really, we want to teach our kids that and around important decisions. And if we can, then they'll have that as they go out and face so many more important decisions like dating, who to date or who to marry or what to participate or not participate in and the way at campus all alone and everything else.
Yeah. And majors change and all kinds of things. Again, this can be used in any context, any situation. You can apply this coach approach to family. So this is how it would basically wrap up. So Randy, you've told me what your commitments are. You're going to seek the Lord. You're going to look into the online campus or the campus programs and maybe some local churches and programs. And you said you're going to get that done this next week.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So how can Dad and I help you with this?
I mean, we can talk again when I find out what I find out and go from there. I mean, you guys maybe have some other advice or other questions for me to make
So
sure.
be okay if I follow up with you in a week from now and see where you're at from an accountability place?
Yeah. And then if we figure this out, maybe we can talk about some of those other things.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful.
So there it is, right? This is the coach approach to family, the specific part of the coaching conversation. 5 parts. Here they are. Just again, listed out. They'll be in the description as well. Number 1 is essentially what is important for you today. In other words, what are we going to talk about and come away from the conversation with? Okay.
And then it's not just talk about, it's what do you want to come away with today? The outcome, the goal. The goal is, well, I want to figure out how to make friends.
And it's just important. Notice in my response early on, I had 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about 3 or 4 things all at once, at least to come up with a specific plan of action.
And this is important too. You let your kid or your family member, whoever you're coaching with, you let them narrow down what it is. Notice I said, well, what's most important? What has the most heat on it?
Yeah.
Because if they can solve that, whatever the core issue is deep down inside, is usually will automatically solve those other issues too. You may not even need to coach around those because the kid or the coachee has this revelation of, wow, what's really holding me back here is the fear and this lie. I do have what it takes to figure this out. Now I can apply that same thinking into
finding a church. Well, I pray and ask God and research and make it right. So that's so important what you're saying.
Yeah.
So here it is. Here it is. What's most important? What do you want? What's the outcome of our conversation? And second is, and third, and I say second and third because there's a flow here. And it really is, what are the challenges and what are the opportunities or solutions? And so that exploration is the second and third part.
Yeah, I could have asked him in this conversation, what's hard about making friends? That would have been more exploration on the challenges. We went more right into solutions. Well, have you made friends in the past? So these are a flow in and out. And again, go in with the Lord.
Yeah.
He will help you know what questions to ask.
But you first have to decide what it is you're talking about and what you want to come away with. Then you can have an open flow of challenges and solutions. And then finally, after you've had a robust conversation and you recognize as a parent that there's some good
They're
solutions that
catching
are
it.
here.
Mhm.
Then the next one is,
Yeah, what are you learning?
What are you learning?
What's the aha?
Mhm.
What's the revelation? Whatever language
Mhm.
is going to work with that particular family member, that kid.
And then you say, well, what if they really miss something? Like they had a few solutions, but there's a few better ones. Well, then what would they do as a coach?
You keep exploring. If
You keep
you
exploring.
just keep exploring.
What else?
And these are these longer conversations. If you just know, it's like a blinding flash of the obvious. I call them BFOs, that the child is just not seeing. You let them talk until they've got all of
They're empty.
they're empty. They've
Yeah.
got every solution they could possibly come up with. And usually when a kid or a coach gets to this place of, well, I don't know. This is all I got. Then you can, this is always with permission. Well, I have a few other ideas. Would you like to hear them?
Yes. And they happen to be in a very open space to receive them because they've exhausted their own thinking.
Yeah.
Where if you just tell them early in the conversation, actually when the brain under observation, when told, kind of shuts down, but when asked, opens up and lights up. So this is that process. When they've been asked and drawn out, they're open. And then if they, with permission, that was so
Yeah.
good, you can actually advise a little bit or have them consider a few other options.
Yeah, a few podcasts back, we had a guest on with an organization called Every Student Sent. And if Randy had not come up with that, I might, as the parent, have said, I've just become aware of this organization called Every Student Sent. And they really help kids get plugged in on campus.
Which is a real thing, by the way.
Would you be open to learning more about that?
Yeah.
So again, you're doing it from a place of permission. When our kids are really little, there's a lot more telling, but believe it or not, you can even ask little kids questions, and it's pretty amazing. They actually know a lot if we'll give them the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Right. But as our kids are getting older, remember, we want to teach them how to get down and discover their own thinking and their belief systems, and teach them how to take it to the Lord and figure out how to get things done, because we're not going to be there on campus in this particular scenario to hold their hand for the rest of their life. They're leaving the nest, and have we adequately equipped them?
It's good. And then finally, the fifth, right? So we went from what's important, what are we talking about and coming away with? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What's the learning from our conversation? And then finally, what is your commitment to action in the next week or in the next till we talk again? And that is the commitment from the student or the child to specific measurable action within a time frame. What will you actually do based on what we
and you can get real granular with this. Like if it's I'm working with some grands right now who are developing their spiritual walk, and they've come up with their, I need to read my Bible every day. There's okay, so when are you going to do that? Well, a couple times a week. Okay, what days?
Where? What time?
Yeah, what time? and when's the best time of day for you to do that? And then, okay, tell me again, what's your commitment this next week around reading your Bible? And then how can I help? Which is the final question. How can I help? I'm working with some grands right now, and we always close with that. And they'll say, they call me Bucket, not Grandma. If you would send me a text and remind me on Tuesdays, that would be, because I could forget. So if you could remind me, that would be really helpful. Or will you pray for me, or whatever it is? But you let the child tell you what they need instead of you ascribing what you think they need.
Yeah.
You let them tell you what they really need, because we don't always know, Mom and Dad. We actually don't.
So good. So this is an example of the power and the techniques, the mechanisms of a coach approach to family. And it really is a wonderful parenting tool. And you know what? As long as you have a child, no matter how old they are, you're a parent. And these conversations are good through the decades, no matter what.
We want to remind you, we have family school that runs every quarter or so right now.
Mhm.
We've got another one coming up here in September. You heard that on the ad. This is a 3-month intensive weekly online class where we equip you, parents and families, with tools to be like this, to be able to implement real time with your family. So if you haven't checked that out, we really encourage you to go to our website, winthefamily.org, and learn a little bit more about family school. We also have some really awesome upcoming opportunity to join what we call the tribe, which is interactive online with other families tackling these subjects in real time with each other. It's a wonderful space of learning and encouragement and prayer support. So we'll be letting you guys know more about that in the coming podcasts.
You can find that in the description of the podcast here as well. Hey, that's been our time for today. Remember this: whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
See you next time. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next